We'll begin to cultivate our breath by bringing our left palm on our chest, right palm under the belly button. And we'll begin to focus on the breath with a little more intention. Inhaling through the nose, a brief pause before we exhale through the nose. And pause once more before starting the breath cycle again. Notice how your breath rate, whether shallow, whether short, whether already relaxed and long, and we'll start to bring in the sound at the back of the throat, something akin to an ocean wave, a deep sigh, something to cap off our yogic breath. Now you might notice your breath cycle just a little longer than when we first started. Let's bring our hands down to the side and start to bring our breath and body connection together. Inhaling, feel the energy from the feet, lifting up through the body, through to the crown of the head, lengthening your mountain. Then as we exhale, slowly start to engage the core. Feel that energy reverse direction back to the earth. With the next inhale, start to tip your weight towards the toes. Maybe at the top of the inhale, you feel like you're just about to tip over. And then with the exhale, we'll slowly feel that center of gravity shifting towards the heels until once more we feel that tipping sensation, hopefully at the bottom of the exhale. Give yourselves a few breath cycles. Feel the inhales, really bringing energy through the body. With the exhales, finishing off with that engaged core, helping to expel the air from the body. And then we'll meet back at center, somewhere at the top of the ankles. Dropping back into the mountain, inhale, feel that uplifting feeling once more. And then exhale, start to roll the weight towards the outer right edge of the feet. Body is nice and long. Fully exhale here. Let's inhale back to center. And then exhale to the other side for a three-part breath. Or you can just use a two-part breath. Inhaling to one side, exhaling to the other. Try to keep the body nice and long. Try to keep in contact with the entirety of the soles of the feet while just feeling that subtle shift of center from left to right. Notice how the body responds as you're warming up the soles of the feet, the entire body. We'll meet back at center, dropping back in. Let's inhale just a little longer, a little stronger in our mountain. And start making small circles at the ankles. Radiate these circles wider until you can feel the perimeter of the feet. Explore that. And then start to tighten in the circles once you've identified the edge. Then we'll make our way back to center. And dipping into our mountain, resetting once more, uplifting, lengthening through the body at the top of the inhale. So all we have to do is exhale, small circles in the opposite direction once more at the ankles. Might be a little choppier, might be more of squares than circles. Could just be the same. Once we find the perimeter, we'll make our way back to home base. Give yourself a few breath cycles to get there. And back at home base, go ahead and reset. Lift the feet entirely if you need. And we'll start to find a little shifting in this next warm-up exercise. Start to shift the weight from side to side. Just getting a little more of the weight to the left and then the right. And as you start to shift more, feel like you can lift the toes. Start to feel the upper torso sort of gently twisting, maybe a second or two after the bottom portion there at the waist. And with that subtle movement, without really actively moving the arms, you might find some momentum. Be sure to lift the toes completely as more and more of the torso goes to one side. And breathe deeply, nice and slow, your yogic breaths. If you get enough momentum, you might feel the hands just slightly tapping the sides of the body, wherever they may land. And finding a little more lubrication from just this warm-up here, in the shoulders, and the waist, and the hips, and the ankles. We'll start to let that momentum diminish, and we'll return back to our mountain. Bring in the toes, heel to toe alignment once more. Give yourself any movement to just release from there. We'll move on up to the shoulders. At this point, I'd like to remind you to maybe tuck under that tailbone if you feel a tendency of pitching forward. Just give yourself that internal rotation of the thighs. Feel the mat as if you're pressing down and pulling away, but just gripping that just slightly so you can open up at the hips just some, and help to orient the thighs, the femur, the lower body as we move on up to the shoulders. Palms facing forward. Let's inhale, lift the shoulders towards the ceiling. Exhale, roll them back and down. Relax your arms fully, engaging the core at the bottom of the exhale. A total of 3 to 4 breath cycles here. Use the yogic breath to help facilitate the release. Notice any changes in the foundation at the feet. We want to keep even distribution of weight. If you find that subtle shift, as you're noticing, just bring them back to an even balance. Breathing through the nose on both the inhales and the exhales. After your last breath cycle, we'll repeat another round. This time, on the exhale, we're rolling the shoulders forward, still tucking the shoulder blades back into the mid-back at the bottom of the exhale. And sometimes coordinating the breath might be a little off, but hopefully by the end of that 4th exhale, you have a good uplift with the inhale in the shoulders, and a good release forward and down with the exhale. All right, and then we'll move on up. Once again, just resetting our mountain. I'm feeling a drawing of the energy once more in this next iteration of mountain. Feeling as if the energy lifts through the crown of the head like a string up towards the sky. We're going to exhale. Allow the right ear to dip towards the right shoulder. palms facing forward to help keep the shoulders rotated away from the ears. And on the exhale, turning the gaze if you haven't already. We're trying to find release on the left side of our neck, all the way from the top of the traps to perhaps the temple on the left side. And the eyes are hopefully resting on the rightmost side. You can get some release as well by just simply engaging a soft gaze, not forcing anything, but using the breath. Each exhale might find just a little more release. And there's a space between the right ear and the right shoulder. And shoulders are in one line. After the last exhale, inhale the eyes back into the gaze. The gaze turns, and the crown of the head lifts at the top of the inhale. Then exhale over to the other side. Inhale for lift. Exhale to turn the gaze and release. Let the eyes land where they will. The gaze will turn as it does. And with each passing exhale, you may find the gaze and the eyes a little more to the left, or just wherever your edge is. Each inhale is a great opportunity to feel energy coursing through any tightness that you may notice in your body. And after that last exhale, we can bring the eyes and the gaze and the crown of the head back up to center. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to just let the eyes float downward to guide the gaze. Landing somewhere at the top of the mat, about 6 feet in front of you. Let the next few breath cycles help you to release at the back of the neck. Notice if the foundation has changed. You want to keep an even distribution of weight at the feet, at the ankles, at the hips. See if you are able to keep a balanced support from the shoulders down to the heels, while the breath helps you to facilitate a lengthening, a crown lengthening towards the ceiling at a slight tilt, and just a little more rooting, a grounding with each exhale. Arms are nice and relaxed, shoulders relaxed. And after that last exhale, inhale the eyes back towards the midline, past the midline, and somewhat above you. You can stop craning the neck. Make sure you have a good support as you use the next 3 to 4 breath cycles. Nice and slow yogic breaths to release in the front of the throat, the mouth, the tongue, and the space between the brows. All while the shoulders are relaxed, arms heavy, each exhale, core engaged. And after the last breath cycle, you can bring the eyes down. Bring it on back to the midline. And get rid of any residual activation of muscles. The tendency to grip at the mat sometimes, so just lifting the feet and the toes, the heels, one at a time. or just bending the knees and gently tapping, bouncing at the knees might help you to release any activation in the upper thighs, glutes. Alrighty. And then we'll go ahead and start with our folds. Without really doing much with the arms, all we're doing is just reaching downward, energizing the fingers down. Let's inhale, extend the arms up while we're still reaching. At the top, we can exhale, slowly start to bring the tailbone back and hinge at the hips. You can bend the knees if you need. You can walk the hands down. And what we're just trying to do is slowly float on down to a forward fold. If you've done a lot of activity, you might find stiffness in the legs. Keep them a bend, micro or deeper. You can use the blocks. You can use your arms, forearms to the thighs. You want to make sure that you've got that center of gravity feel at the hips down to the heels. And in our first fold, it's called a ragdoll, so that you can feel sort of relaxed with the upper body. A good stable support of the lower body, so that the spine, the neck, the crown of the head can relax. And your arms, wherever they are, hopefully doing the same. You can gently move the head in a no and yes pattern. Let it dangle. Just see if you can actively release the upper body. And remember, keeping a bend to the knees in case you're feeling any type of tightness at the calves, at the back of the thighs, at the glutes. And then we'll prepare to come out with an inhale, engaging the core, making sure we're feeling a stepping sensation into our feet, affirming of our thighs. We can walk the hands up, use your blocks if you'd like. You can drop your tailbone, bend the knees, and lift all the way back up. Slow vertebra, one vertebra at a time. Give yourself a moment as the blood rushes back to the head before we start another fold. Reaching downward with our fingers, inhale the arms up. And then exhale, start to hinge at the hips, engage the core. You can walk the hands down, you can float down with a straight back. You can just fold. Give yourself a little more time here to get to your version of a fold. Feel that openness at the hips. If you feel tight there, you may need to press into the feet, internal rotation of the thighs to help open up the hips. But here, for about 3 breath cycles, we're once more just trying to feel release in the lower back. And give yourself just that chance to feel a little relief in the upper back, the neck, with arms and head feeling heavy where they are. And then we'll come back up once more with an inhale, engaging the core, walking the hands back, up the body, coming up slow curl, one vertebra at a time, or with a straight back. And pressing into the legs. And if you can bring the arms all the way back up, reaching, exhaling hands down at center, we'll begin our walking meditation. Pressing into our palms, inhaling, standing weight to the left side of the body. Feel that stability there. And then you can lift the right heel, right foot. Doesn't have to be high. The higher the foot, the higher the knee, the more challenging. But we'll, on the exhale, place the foot forward. Start to feel that shift towards the front foot. And then inhale the back foot up. Engage your core. Exhale that foot down. And then one full step, expressing one breath cycle at your pace. If you feel a little wobbly and fall out, that's okay. Come on back. If you have to tap down the foot several times, that's okay. Come on back. But feel that shifting. Bring that one step forward with each breath cycle. And at the top of the mat, we'll meet in our mountain. Looking down at the fingertips or the blocks, pressing into the palms. Inhale the hands up. Separating the palms. Exhale, engage the core and fold at the hips. Slow float, or however your fold is, will come on down. Fully exhaled at the bottom. We'll inhale, press into wherever your hands have contact. Lengthen through the back, lengthen through the legs best that you can. And then exhale further into your fold. Maybe just the elbows bend, but the torso gets closer to the thighs. And then we'll inhale. Place the hands at either side of the feet. Use your blocks at a low setting if you need. Bend the knees and step back. Take one step, take two, take several, whichever that you need to bring the feet to the back of the mat. And we'll inhale, shoulders over the wrists for our high plank. And then on the exhale, bring the shins down. And coming into a modified high plank, see if you can open up the ankles, feeling the support of the lower body with the shins and the tops of the feet, while the upper body is supported by those arms. Notice for the next 5 breath cycles if you need to adjust the stance between the hands, between the lower body and the hands. We want to find somewhat of a 90-degree angle, but you can always draw the hands further up or bring the knees further back to open up that space at the wrists if you have any injury or sensitivity. You want to engage the core and feel that nice hypotenuse from the shins all the way to the crown of the head. If you're pressing into those extended arms with splayed fingers, you should feel your shoulder blades supported, moving away from the spine. Nice, firm upper back. With the next inhale, we'll tuck our toes and lift the hips. Exhale, press into those arms so you can bring the hips back into down dog. Make any adjustments here. We're about 5 breath cycles with our first down dog. You can shift the hips from side to side. You can see where your head is, hopefully between the upper arms. And if you were to bend your elbows, we're moving towards having them bend towards the back of the mat, not out towards the side. And you may be high up on the balls of the feet. You might be completely landing those soles of the feet to the mat, in which case you can pigeon toe just slightly to help open up at the hips. We're moving towards an upside down V shape, but your upside down U shape might take a little while to practice, and that's okay. Do what you can where you can. Engage the core all the way. A deep inhale. Maybe your rib cage will expand sideways. A deep exhale. Feel a rooting down of the legs and the arms into that V shape. And with the next inhale, we'll roll our eyes towards our hands. Take the blocks with you if you need. And walk the hands to the back of the mat. To your fold. Keep a bend to your knees if you need. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, press into the feet, engage the core, and come on up. Your choice, will roll up or straight back, and press hands all the way up. Exhaling hands down heart center. And once again, moving our walking meditation. moving the balance to one side of the body, lifting the right foot on the inhale, stepping it forward, either at the heel or the midfoot, whichever feels good to you, but feeling that transition to the entire right foot, and then bringing the left foot when you have that stability forward. Exhaling that foot down and using a full breath cycle to step forward to the top of the mat. Engage the core to help keep the balance. Press into the palms. And at the top of the mat, we'll meet in mountain. Press into the palms. Watch the hands rise. Separate the palms and exhale. Bend those knees if you need. Stick the tailbone back. And come on down for another fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Feel that length from the tailbone to the crown of the head, looking down, and from the hips down to the heels. Exhale, fold once more. Place your hands at either side of the feet. Bend the knees and step back. Exhaling into your high plank. And this time, stay long as you inhale, the shoulders over the wrists. Feel that internal rotation of the thighs up on the balls of the feet. Stick the belly button to the spine. Press into the mat with those strong arms, shoulder blades moving away from the spine, looking down. Feel that hypotenuse from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. 3 breath cycles total. Let's inhale the hips up. Let's exhale. Press the hips back into down dog. And adjust once more the stance between the feet and between the feet and the hands for that ideal upside down V. And as you inhale, find that lengthening from the tailbone down the back, down into the arms, into the palms. Use the entirety of your palm to help support the weight, not just the heels. And as you exhale, feel a little closer in the heels towards the mat. Imagine the tailbone lifting upwards while the limbs are moving downward. And then with the next inhale, look towards the hands with the eyes, and then walk the hands to the back of the mat. Bend the knees if you need. Come on back to your fold once more, fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, engage the core. Bend the knees if you need. Drop the tailbone. Come on up, one vertebra at a time or along back. Pressing into the feet, reaching all the way up with the hands. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. And one last walking meditation, pressing into the blocks or the hands. Standing weight to the left side. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale it forward. Remember, the higher you lift the knee, the more challenging. The bigger the step, the more challenging. Do what you can. And at the top of the mat, looking down at the fingertips or blocks, press into the palms, lift the hands, separate the palms, exhale, hinge at the hips, and fold. Fully exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Step the hands to either side of the feet and step back into your high plank. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists, nice and long. Stay in your high plank for 3 strong breath cycles. Pressing into the palms, into the fingertips, into the skin between the digit knuckles. Nice long length. And engage the core, belly button to the spine. Then with an inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, bring the hips back to down dog. Use the next 3 breath cycles to feel out your dog. You can bend the knees. Straighten the legs. Roll to the balls of the feet and bring the heels down. With the next inhale, we'll roll our eyes to the hands. Use the blocks if you need. And walk the hands to the back of the mat, to the fold. Bending the knees if you need. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And once more, we'll come on up. Your choice. Lengthening all the way up. Exhaling hands down heart center. And finally down to our side. Let the blood rush back to the head and the breath return to its natural state. It's a good time for a little bit of water or whatever you need to do. You can make sure you're releasing from that last movement, series of movements. And then we're going to be coming into a crouching position. Our goddess can start out really nice and wide, about hips distance apart or a little wider. You may find that a heel-to-toe alignment is better suited for tight hips that don't really have that ability to widen. It may feel better for you if you're tight in the hips to have your toes kind of pivoted outwards. But we want to have our tailbone kind of tucked under as we inhale and then slowly start to drop the hips, bending at the knees. You can keep your hands at the thighs. If you have a chair nearby, you can, or a wall, you can walk the hands down. But we're just going to start to slowly bring the tailbone down, bending at the knees, coming into sort of a squat while we're still somewhat lifted. And feel as if you can just get your tailbone dropping down under, feeling the weight at the heels. And if you can lift your toes, engaging the core really helps. And then you can lower the toes once more. Looking down, make sure you can still see your toes if you can. We're trying to keep our torso as upright as possible as we lower down. Engage your glutes, feel your thighs, feel all points of the soles of the feet. Try not to have them roll out to the outer edge or in. Just see where that is. If you tuck under the tailbone, you'll save any compression going on at the lower back. So you can always bring your hands down to the thighs. And then we're going to slowly start to come on down. If you have your blocks nearby, you can always land on the block. We're going to come into a crouching, slow crouching movement. As you get lower, if you need to, you can bring in the heels. But our goddess is going to get lower into a crouching squat. And if you have that block, it's really nice and handy to keep it out in front of you. And you can come down to where you're able to feel that Heel lift if it needs to. And again, you might have the musculature to be able to come all the way down to a squat, a full squat at this point. If you can bring down the heels, you're in a very deep squat. You may have the knees out to the sides. You might have your elbows inside the knees, helping you to keep wide. You want to focus on keeping the back upright, trying not to curve at that lower back, so you can tuck under the tailbone. You can always use the chair or just come down where you can. You don't have to come all the way down. And you're breathing, trying to keep your breath. And then we can slowly bring the knees downward and walk your hands to the front, and you can untuck your toes. If you're able to bring down your hips to the heels, you'll be in this wide kneeling position, like a seated child's pose. And you can imagine toes touching, or you can try to keep your toes touching. And here at this point, we'll start to walk the hands forward and see if you can hinge at the hips. Nice long back. And you're going to stop where you're going to stop, so don't force it. You might still be in a somewhat upright position. And we're coming into your version of child's pose. For some of us, you might just have your chest in between your thighs, on top of your thighs. You might be able to walk the hands out. For some of us, we might need a bolster. We may need some blocks, something to rest the chest. Or we just might hang out up front as our hips are hinging forward in a deep, deep flexion. If you can walk the arms out, you can get a nice stretch through the shoulders, through the sides of the rib cage. But you don't have to do that if that does not speak to you. You just might be trying to open your hips wherever you are. Now, if your neck feels good with the traction of gravity gently pulling downward, you can just keep your head dangling. If that doesn't feel good on your neck, we don't want to rest our chin to our chest. You can use your hands to help support the forehead, thumbs at the brow line, maybe even a block, rolled up blanket. And at this point, you can have a curve to the back if you're really not able to bring the chest close to the thighs. But as you move closer to a child's pose and folding at the hips, you want to make sure your chin is not tucked on your chest, that you have an opening there. You may bring your forehead to the floor. You may have your chest just dangling there, nice long line with the forehead as a touching point. Give yourself 5 to 10 breath cycles here. That's a pretty lengthy stretch. If you need to come out sooner, go ahead. You can lift up the chest if you need and support it with blocks, bolster, or with just the forearms on the thighs. With each passing breath, hopefully you're feeling less holding in the hips, in the knees. And with each passing exhale, you're finding some release. Try to remember your slow yogic breaths, even with the stomach on the thighs. You might have that sideways expansion of the rib cage. All right. And if you're done with your last exhale, and then if you have any prop holding your head, go ahead and lengthen through the spine to the crown of the head so you can lift the head, remove the props, bring the hands underneath your shoulders and start to walk the chest back to an upright seated position. We're going to lean back a little bit perhaps to bring the legs in. And then you can hopefully just roll to one side and bring the hips down. We'll meet in bridge, which just means coming down onto your back. And if you're in the chair and you haven't been in on the floor, you can just sit with your knees at a 90-degree angle, with your hips hopefully at the edge of the chair. But we're just coming into our figure four now. Now, however you get to your bridge, I like to come down one elbow at a time. And then just let the floor support the back if you're on the mat. If you're on the chair, just let your sit bones sink in the edge, and the feet feel heavy as the knees are hips distance apart. And with an inhale, we'll start to bring the right foot up. And if you're in the chair, you may need to lengthen your other leg, but we're trying to bring that right ankle over to the left leg and eventually onto the thigh. See what you can do. If you can only bring your foot to the shin of that extended leg, if you're on the chair, then that's where you are. We're trying to open up through the right hip. And with the eventual figure four position of the right ankle on the left knee, thigh. Not the kneecap, but somewhere in this general vicinity. You may find this right knee really hinged upwards. Just give some breath so we can relax downward. If you're on the mat, you might gently place your hand there to remind it not to cave in towards the chest. If you notice your left hip is lifting, try with each exhale to just relax it. And it will hopefully have a better support, even distribution of your sacrum on the floor. And with our first figure four here, just breathe 3 to 5 breath cycles best that you can to once more try to open up through the hip. You can, if it feels good, roll this ankle that's on the knee. Roll it in one position, one direction, and then the other. We don't want to have an arching of the back. You can hopefully lift the tailbone, kind of tilt the sacrum, the back of the pelvis towards the mat, and then just let it relax a little better if you find that that's compressing there. If you're just enjoying your breath cycles here in figure four, we're almost coming to the end. Hopefully you're just feeling the entire back, all the way to the back of the sacrum, just sinking into the mat while you're opening up that right hip. Give yourself one more good inhale, one more good exhale. And then you can help to lift the right ankle off of that left thigh knee. Or you can just lift it if you have that mobility. And let that right foot gently land back into your bridge. And once you have both feet in alignment underneath, right below the hips, give yourself a slow drop towards the right of the knees. Windshield wipe towards the right until you stop, and hold it there for just a moment. If you're in the chair, you're just pivoting the knees towards the right. Inhale, bring the knees back towards center, pointing towards the ceiling. You can always use your hands if you need, but keep your sacrum down on the mat. And then exhale, let the knees slowly drop to the other side until it stops. Give yourself a couple breath cycles here. Arms can be at the side, they can be folded on the belly. You can have the palms resting on the hip crest there. And with the next inhale, engage the core, bring the knees back up, assist with your hands if you need, but roll the sacrum back onto the mat, knees oriented towards the ceiling. And then adjust your bridge here, make sure the spine and the neck is aligned. And then we'll move to lifting the opposite foot to the opposite knee. And in my case, it's the left knee, left foot up, and left ankle onto the right thigh knee area. And again, move slowly as you're opening up through the side of the hip. If you've got good hip mobility, we're just moving towards that figure four once more. Try to make sure that the sacrum is nice and relaxed down on the mat. It'll help you to open up through that left glute area, left hip. And again, if you're on the chair, you can always extend that right leg to bring that left ankle up the leg, eventually over to the right thigh area. And once you find that sweet spot, breathing 3 to 5 breath cycles, 5 to 10 if it feels good to you. But try to make those breaths nice and slow. With each inhale, it's great to have the body scanning for tightness. Focus on bringing the release to that tight area with the exhale. Let it go with the exhale. Try not to actively press into the feet or into the sacrum. You're just trying to relax that so that you're just keeping the base form of the shape without too much pushing of the body into that shape. As you focus along with the breath, you may find a release in the left hip, in the glute, in that left ankle, in the left knee, all by just surrendering with the exhale. Let the breath help facilitate the sinking of the body, the relaxing into this figure four. And after that last breath, we'll come on out. You can help assist that left ankle with your arms. But we're going to internally rotate at the hip so we can bring that foot down gently, safely. Bringing it in alignment underneath the hips, feet together, in that same line, hips distance apart. We're going to inhale, and then exhale, let the knees drop to the left until it stops. Just windshield wipe over to the other side, just rolling on to the left edge of your feet. Your knees will stop where they will. Take a few breath cycles here. After that last exhale, inhale, assist your legs if you need. Inhale the sacrum back onto the mat. The knees come back up to center, pointing towards the ceiling. And then we're going to pivot the heels out and then the toes just a little bit. Bring the toes into more of a pigeon toe position finally. And then let the knees sort of knock inward. They can rest or just dangle there inwardly. And the arms can be nice and wide, extended at the sides, palms down. One more good deep inhale and exhale. And then inhale, bring the heels back into alignment with the toes. Bring the feet back under the hip line. And then we'll move into Shavasana, into your final resting pose on your back. If it feels good to keep a bend to the knees, you can support the bottom of the knees with a rolled up blanket, with blocks. You can fold up a blanket, put it on the lower back area if that helps. Any compression in that lower back, you can fold it and put it underneath the head if you have tension at the neck. Get into your favorite position of Shavasana. And the feet can be nice and long as you extend through them. If you find that the knees, the calves are really tented, lifted, you can press out through the heels, inhaling to extend, flexing the feet, and then exhaling, letting the feet just relax. And letting the feet kind of just roll away from each other. I'll be sitting up to mind the time. But when you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken. bringing the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Notice the air as it enters the nose and as it exits the nose. Coming back to the body, make any movements that help you to reconnect to the physical vessel. You can wiggle your fingers, toes. You can rock from side to side. We'll meet in an upright seated position of your choice. And we'll end our class with our breath of fire. We're up to 30 breaths, exhales through pursed lips. The inhales kind of take care of themselves. But the very last exhale is a long, slow, drawn-out exhale, emptying the belly. And then we hold the pelvic floor. It's almost like you're cutting off a stream of urine. And then we chin tuck to kind of feel this energy trapped between the pelvic area and the chin. We'll hold our breath for about 3 to 4, 6 seconds. And if you can't hold it that long, that's okay. If you don't do the full 30, that's all right too. Just do your best. So sitting up nice and tall, inhaling through the nose. I'll try to keep time with my hands. Start now. Exhaling through pursed lips. Fully exhale. Hold the pelvic floor. Tuck the chin. Then release the breath. We'll do that one more time. One more inhale in. Exhale now. Fully exhale, lift the pelvic floor, tuck the chin, and then release the breath. Bring your hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC Community Room. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. Be careful standing up. It's a little bit of a hyperventilation, so you want to get your bearings.